guests joining us soon, but I appreciate you all joining us early this morning to talk about Quip. We're going to go in depth about a little Quip overview, hit our APIs, and talk about how they can automate some of your key security workflows and give you a little preview of how you can use them for any custom needs you have. Before we get started, just to make sure, please make your purchasing decisions based on products and services that are currently available today and not any forward-looking statements. Okay, we checked that box. Now, so I'm Derek. I've been at Quip for about 3.5 years, and I work on the suite of capabilities for our admins, IT, and security stakeholders, and I'm really excited to have Kevin here, who is one of the amazing engineers that builds all the things I get to talk about.
Thanks so much, Derek. Really excited to be here today. My name's Kevin Gao. As Derek mentioned, I'm a software engineer here at Quip, and I work on primarily our enterprise offering, but I've also worked on our core Salesforce and Quip integrations. And before I sort of dive into APIs, Derek's going to tell us a little bit more about what we'll be talking about today.
Thank you, Kevin. Quick poll, just get a sense of the roles we have here. Can you raise your hand if you're a developer? All right. Admin? Yes, okay. Anything else I should know about? You want to shout it out? No? All right. This guy in the pink shirt, watch out for him. Kidding. So I'll do a quick overview. Hopefully you're all familiar with it already. Kevin will go into our admin API, which unlocks a lot of these custom capabilities, and then we'll bring on our friend Ish to talk about an example. So Quip is Salesforce's productivity platform. It combines documents, spreadsheets, slides, chat, and more, all into a real-time collaboration hub. This allows the most successful businesses to create a culture of action and get work done faster. An example of how we do this. So at the heart of it, it's all about empowering employees, right? By being a real-time collaborative tool, this allows everyone to be in a transparent, shared space where they always have up-to-date information and can participate. That collaboration is in the heart of the document. So instead of having a productivity tool here and then communication in another app, Quip brings the content and the communication together, so it's all in one single space. Taking that even further, there are a lot of integrations with other data sources, like Salesforce, to bring that directly into the document surface so that you, again, stay in that one productivity hub. And then finally, this is a mobile-first product. So as you are all here at your conference and everybody's on the road, you can have that innovation at the tip of your hands. But while we love to build this consumer-grade product that's easy and fun to use, enterprise-grade security is at the essence of everything that we do and where Kevin and I spend all of our time. If you signed up for Quip today, you can be confident that it meets your security needs out of the box. But if you want to tailor it a little bit to some specific internal needs, that's where our APIs come in handy, as Kevin will tell you. And most importantly, you can trust and depend on this product, and that is run by a world-class Salesforce operations team, as you would all expect. A couple examples of customers who we're fortunate to work with. For their tens or hundreds of thousands of employees, they're depending upon Quip every day. And as you can see here from Lisa from Citi, the head of operations technology, not only are they choosing Quip for the product itself and the benefit for the users, but also for the security and the peace of mind that it gives them. And while I would love to take you through the full architecture, we're about a 20-minute session today, so we'll be quick. And today we'll focus specifically on this customization layer. Tomorrow, Lindsay, this gentleman right here, raise your hand, has a session at noon talking about our Live Apps API. And then at 5 o'clock today, there's a session about automations between workflows in Quip and Salesforce workflows. But today we'll talk about our automation API, specifically the admin API permission level and capabilities. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kevin to take us through that.
Thanks so much, Derek. And yeah, would love to dive right into our admin APIs and tell you a little bit about the capabilities it has, as well as walk through some use cases and show you how you can build on top of it as well. All right, so the admin APIs provide you with sort of full visibility into what's in your Quip instance. So that includes content, metadata, users, as well as the ability to view events. And of course, this is all once you've authorized and authenticated with an integration. And we've worked with partners such as ONA and Palo Alto Networks to provide enterprise use cases out of the box. But today, I'll also be walking through how you can build on top of this admin API yourself. And so the first thing I want to show you, of course, is a demonstration of how you might build on this API. And to be doing so, we'll be using Postman just as a simulation of what a workflow automation integration might look like. And so our API is a REST-based API that uses OAuth 2 for secure authentication. It's also scoped so that all clients as well as access tokens have a set of permissions that they're allowed. So we want to make sure that you're only authorizing the integrations that are appropriate and you have full control over that. And so here we're just going to be demonstrating going through the OAuth flow, authorizing on behalf of an admin and a workflow integration. And so once we've actually authorized this, we'll be getting an access token that we'll use for subsequent requests. All right, so now that we have our access token, let's actually walk through an example of a workflow integration. So for this use case, we're going to be going over legal contracts, and we want to be monitoring for any new legal contracts that get added into Quip. And as soon as that happens, we want to make sure that our trusty lawyer, Bob Loblaw, is added onto this document for review. And so to walk through this, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using our Events API in order to monitor for any new documents that are created. We're then going to grab the content of those documents as well as the metadata in order to run a content classifier, determine if it is a contract, and if it is, then we'll go ahead and make sure that our trusty lawyer is added on. So here, we're actually going to grab a cursor from the Events API, and we're going to do this for a specified time frame and for specific events, in this case, creating a thread. We'll then go ahead and pull the event stream, and we see here that we have a create thread event, and in this create thread, that's for a specific thread, and so we'll go ahead and grab the content and metadata for that thread in order to do our classification. And so we do see indeed that this is a contract, and from here we notice that only the owner has access to this thread right now. And so what the automation will do is go ahead and actually add our lawyer in. So we see now there are 2 users here. Bob Loblaw is added, and he can then go ahead and do his review of this contract. So as you can tell, this is a pretty seamless way to sort of automate painful workflows that otherwise might take a user's a number of clicks, as well as be error prone. You might miss things due to human error. And now that we've kind of gone through that demonstration, I also want to walk through some enterprise use cases as well. So the first one we're going to be talking about is access management. So this is something that our customers come to kind of first when they get deployed with Quip. Kind of makes sense because access is sort of the first thing you need. And out of the box, Quip already comes with SAML capabilities that integrate with your identity provider, or IDP. And so these include single sign-on, but we also want to support single logout for security purposes. So we want to make sure that all your sessions are terminated correctly across all your services, and Quip is one of them. However, we also realize that sign-on being seamless is not the only thing that customers care about. We also want to make sure that new users, your employees, are provisioned correctly and with the right data that they can access immediately. And so to support this, we have the SCIM API. And the SCIM API also tends to work out of the box with a lot of IDPs. And what our SCIM API provides is the ability to provision users and groups, so that way, when your new employee logs into Quip for the first time, they already have an account, they're already added to the correct groups. And if you need something a little bit more custom, you can also turn to our Events and Automation API. And for example, if you wanted to enforce access policies, what you could do is watch for events where a user shares a document, like we saw earlier. And if they do share a document that violates a policy, you could then go ahead and either revoke access for members, or you could disable link sharing if that's something that they had performed. The next use case that I wanted to talk about is data loss prevention. And the name is a little bit of a misnomer. It's not about losing data, it's more about leaking data. And the way I like to think about this is once enterprises have been using Quip for a while, they have this concern of, we have all this data in Quip, how do we make sure that the data that's in there is actually sanctioned and supposed to be in there? And we want to make sure that that the data that wasn't supposed to be in there doesn't get in there in the first place, and if it does happen to get in there, how do we make sure that no one is able to access it? And so we're going to be walking through this workflow in terms of imagine a financial services company. They wouldn't want any customers' social security numbers to be put into Quip. So how can we go ahead and continue to continuously make sure that no social security numbers are ever added into Quip? And if they do happen to be mistakenly added, let's make sure to quarantine that content so that no one has access to that. And so we're going to be walking through this model here with that scenario in mind. And so the first step is to really bootstrap the existing content in Quip. And so in order to do that, the first thing we want to do is actually create an event cursor. And the reason why we want to do this is we want to guarantee that everything before this cursor was created has been audited and ensured that everything is all right. And the next step we want to do is use our admin API in order to get all the thread IDs that exist within Quip. And once we've done that, we'll take those threads in batch, and we'll actually pull the content and metadata, messages, attachments, as we just saw. And from there, we'll actually run this through our classifier, which tells us if there's a social security number in that content. And if there is, we'll call our quarantine API in order to prevent that content from showing up. It'll get wiped from all user devices. And at this point, we've basically ensured that once this process is completed, existing content in Quip has been sanitized and quarantined. And from that point, we can step into our continuous monitoring. And so we take that event cursor that we acquired at the very beginning, and from there, we'll stream our events again, look for relevant events like editing a document or adding a new message, and then we'll run through the same process of putting it through our classifier and quarantining as necessary. And lastly, I just want to talk through a few more use cases that our customers have implemented. So the first one has a pretty cool sounding name, CASB. That stands for Cloud Access Security Broker. It's an additional level of security that allows for near real-time access policies to be enforced. And usually, the modern CASB systems will actually work on an API-based integration on top of a network-level solution. And so we've worked with partners like Palo Alto Networks and their Aperture product in order to provide this out of the box. And you can also imagine that with our Events API, that's super readily ingestible into other systems for event monitoring and auditing. And a number of our customers have used a solution like Splunk to do this. And now I'd like to welcome our super special guest, Ismail Alawi, the VP of Engineering for ONA. And he'll be talking to us a little bit about their experience using Quip's APIs to bring enterprise search to our customers. In a second. Has everyone had their coffee today? Great. You want the mic? Oh, you got it.
Thank you, Kevin, for that introduction. So think about all the applications that your organization might be interacting with on a daily basis. You typically end up with a lot of data that your organization uses, and it's really difficult to search. So in order to provide a good way for finding your data, ONA comes in and synchronizes. Sorry. ONA will synchronize with your applications, and sorry, can't do this. I'm hearing myself. Let me start over. No, sorry, can't do it. Yeah.
All right. Might have a little mic issue. But ONA is an amazing partner that many of our customers who use Quip and also those who don't use Quip have come to depend on ONA as a central place where all the data across. Is your mic ready to go? Okay.
Sorry, just having some microphone issues. So let me start over. So if you think about all the enterprise sources that your company connects to every day, you have a lot of data, and it's really difficult to search across that data. So with a company like ours, we connect to your data sources, and we use their API to download as much content as possible, and we'll connect and synchronize on a schedule. So we'll do this every few minutes, and then the next time we sync again, we'll only get the things that have changed since then. And then when we get all this content, we run it through this extensive processing pipeline. So, and we run a bunch of machine learning algorithms to extract as much content as possible from your data. So in the Quip use case, we have mutual clients that have needs for e-discovery and knowledge management. So what we do is we leverage the Quip Automation API and the Quip Admin API in order to get the content. So we will get as much stuff as possible, which includes documents, spreadsheets, attachments, edits and deletes, messages, and any metadata we can get our hands on. And as an entry point, we use the OAuth 2.0 authentication mechanism that the Quip API provides. As far as our integration, our development environment goes, we're in a Python shop, so we use Async.io heavily. So our platform runs on Kubernetes, and we run each of our collectors in Docker containers. So every collection job is a Docker container that runs, does the work, and then finishes. So as soon as data is ingested, we process it within a few seconds of collection. This is an example of our AIO HTTP request. So you can see here we have a call to the Quip API. And then this is how typically we would do a success or failure response. These are some of the endpoints of interest to us. So as you can see here, we will connect to the admin API to get the number of threads. If the list is really large, we would use the pagination feature that the Quip API provides. As you can see here, we have an attachment endpoint, and then the last one is how we get messages of different types. So once we get the content into Ona, one of the things that we do is render it for the user to be able to see what it looked like on at that time. So we'll go back here. So as you can see here, this thread, for example, had images and attachments in a spreadsheet. This is an example of the edits and deletes we get from the Quip API. So you can see here in the green is the content that was added, and then in red, any additions or deletions. Enterprise search is our core feature. So we, once we've indexed that data, we've placed it in a Lucene-based index, and you're able to do either basic searches or advanced searches so that you can do advanced Boolean logic. You can do nested queries, and within those you can do phrase searches. You can do proximity search, say if you wanted to have something that's like this many words removed from something else. You can do exact matching or partial matching. Another thing that is important to our e-discovery clients is the export feature. So being able to export all this data that we ingested is pretty important. So we offer the tools to be able to put all of this in one or multiple zip packages that users can upload into their e-discovery review tool of choice. Our vision as a company is to connect anything so we can find anything. There's a lot more things coming in the future that we're excited about, such as retention policies, smart alerts, PII detection, and then one that we're really excited about is the clients being able to use their own TensorFlow models. So again, APIs are really powerful tools. We love using the Quip API because it provides with so many capabilities, and our clients love the value that they get from it. And Ona also exposes its own APIs for developers to build their own applications on top. So Um, if there is an integration that's internal to you and you wanted to integrate that with ONA, then you can do that with our own API. If you'd like to take it for a test drive, there's the URL ona.com/register. And with that, I'll turn it back to Kevin. Derek.
Thank you, Ish. And I think we're just at about time. So we'll be down on stage. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to talk to you. There are a couple other Quip sessions to check out this evening and tomorrow, as well as downstairs. There's a big orange banner that says productivity, and there'll be Quip specialists there all throughout the show to answer any questions that you have, show you demos, etc. But thank you, Ish. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.